The new Edmunds report just dropped, and the entire car industry is in full-blown panic mode. Prices are falling, inventory is exploding, used cars are collapsing in value, EVs are piling up unsold, and dealerships are quietly slashing prices behind the scenes, hoping customers don't find out. Today, we're breaking down the Edmunds data that automakers were hoping you'd never see, because this is the moment the bubble finally bursts. For months, automakers have pushed the narrative that prices are stabilizing, but Edmunds just revealed the opposite. Transaction prices are falling much faster than the industry admits. Why? Because manufacturers have been quietly offering hidden price cuts, discounts the average buyer never sees. Edmunds shows that behind the glossy ads and the hype, brands are knocking thousands off new cars just to keep them moving. Dealerships are panicking because buyers have stopped playing their game. They're walking away, negotiating harder, and refusing to pay inflated stickers. And Edmunds says this is only the beginning. This is where the numbers get frightening. Edmunds reveals that the inventory backlog is the worst it's been since before the pandemic. Ford, GM, Stellantis, Honda, Hyundai, even Toyota is starting to feel it. Ford's lots are overflowing with F-150s and Explorers. GM is sitting on mountains of Silverados and Blazers. Stellantis can't move their Rams and Jeeps fast enough. Hyundai and Honda, usually lean, are seeing inventory creep up fast. Some brands are sitting on 100+ days supply, essentially drowning in unsold vehicles. Edmunds calls it the new oversupply crisis, and the market is about to feel the impact. Edmunds' depreciation charts look like a roller coaster, but only going down. Used cars, especially those bought at peak pandemic prices, are losing value at the fastest rate in years. A $45,000 SUV bought in 2022, now worth low 20Ks at many auctions. A $35,000 sedan. Dealers won't even bid on it unless the price is practically slashed in half. Edmunds warns that this is the great unwinding, and many buyers who overpaid are now trapped with loans higher than the vehicle's value. Here's the part the banks didn't want going public. Auto loan delinquencies are hitting multi-year highs. People simply can't keep up with $700 to $1,200 monthly payments. Edmunds' analysts say the spike in defaults is accelerating, triggering a chain reaction. Banks tightening approvals, repos skyrocketing, dealers receiving record numbers of repossessed units. And all that extra inventory, it forces prices down even more. The industry is entering a pressure cooker, and Edmunds says this wave is far from over. Edmunds lays out the ugly math. The average new car monthly payment is now at record highs, pushing thousands of buyers out of the market altogether. Consumers are fleeing toward cheaper brands, used cars, or simply keeping their old vehicles longer. Edmunds calls it payment shock, and it's reshaping the entire market. Shoppers are now choosing cheaper Korean brands over American ones, hybrid sedans over big SUVs, used vehicles over anything new, and many first-time buyers, they're not buying anything at all. The system built on expensive payments is collapsing. This is where things get even messier. Edmunds confirms the EV oversupply crisis is real and getting worse. Thousands of unsold electric vehicles are piling up nationwide. Dealers are refusing more shipments. Residual values are falling faster than gas cars. Lease rates are dropping because the cars simply aren't holding value. Edmunds says EVs are experiencing accelerated depreciation, meaning some models lose 30–40% of value in the first year. That's unheard of. The EV hype bubble, it's popping faster than anyone expected. Automakers love advertising low monthly payments. What they don't advertise: maintenance, repairs, insurance, long-term reliability. Edmunds breaks down the real cost of ownership, and some brands look terrible. Certain SUVs cost thousands more in long-term maintenance than the competition. Some trucks burn through tires, brakes, and fuel at shocking rates. And ultra-cheap EVs, they often cost more to insure than luxury cars. Edmunds exposes all of it, and the results flip the usual rankings upside down. Some budget cars are secretly the most expensive to own. And now the part every automaker fears: who's winning and who's collapsing? Edmunds shows that a few brands are weathering the storm, while others are in free fall. The winners? Brands with efficient production, good reliability, and realistic pricing. The losers? Those with bloated inventory, high MSRP, and models nobody wants anymore. Some of the biggest losers were once America's top sellers, and their decline shocked even Edmunds analysts. This is where things get sneaky. Edmunds reveals that many dealerships are offering silent incentives, discounts that never appear in ads or online listings, hidden rebates, dealer cash kickbacks, kickbacks, under-the-table price drops on slow-selling models. Sales managers aren't saying this openly, but Edmunds' data shows the price cuts are already happening. If you know how to spot them, you can save thousands. Edmunds is blunt. A full price correction is coming. They predict prices could fall significantly over the next 3 to 12 months as inventory rises, sales slow, loan delinquencies increase, and used car values tank. Buyers who wait may see the best deals in years. Manufacturers, on the other hand, could face their toughest year since the 2008 recession. Edmunds stops dancing around it. The automotive bubble that grew from 2020 to 2023 is finally bursting. This reset affects financing, insurance, new car prices, used car values, dealer profits, and even factory production output. Everything is being reshaped, and Edmunds says the industry won't look the same in a year. Lease returns are flooding the market at levels not seen in a decade. Edmunds highlights that manufacturers are slashing money factors, residuals, lease incentives, monthly rates. Why? Because they need to get these cars off the lots before the next wave of returns hits. This is causing a huge ripple effect in the used market, and it's just starting. While most headlines focus on prices and inventory, Edmunds points to something even more dangerous. The credit pipeline is drying up. Banks are quietly tightening approval criteria. Credit unions are lowering loan amounts. Lenders are rejecting even good applicants who would have been approved just months ago. Edmunds shows a spike in higher down payment requirements, shorter loan terms, higher APRs, even for prime borrowers. This means fewer people qualify for new cars, which forces dealerships to lower prices even further just to move units. The industry is entering a vicious cycle, and it hasn't hit bottom yet. Here's where the shockwaves get personal. Edmunds analyzed thousands of listings and identified the vehicles dropping in price the fastest, and some of them are household names. Certain mid-size sedans, overpriced EVs, luxury SUVs, slow-selling pickup trims, performance crossovers. These models are seeing price cuts of 10 to 25% in a matter of weeks. Buyers who paid sticker price earlier this year, many are already underwater on their loans. Dealers are quietly begging manufacturers to stop production. But the pipeline is full, and the cars keep coming. This is something the average shopper never sees. Edmunds uncovered that manufacturers are rolling out stealth incentive programs, dealer kickbacks, loyalty bonuses, secret cash allowances, cost-to-carrier credits, massive fleet rebates. None of these appear on TV commercials or social media, but they're real. And they're huge. Edmunds shows some automakers offering $4,000 to $6,000 in hidden cash on slow-selling SUVs and EVs. This is the early stage of a full-blown incentive war, with the same pattern that preceded the 2008 automotive collapse. We're not even deep into 2025 inventory yet, and dealers are already drowning in leftover 2024s. Edmunds reveals rows of unsold trucks. Factories still pumping out SUVs, dealers slashing margin, manufacturers pushing volume targets. Some lots running out of space cars are literally being parked in overflow lots behind malls, in empty warehouses, and even in dirt fields outside major cities. This is the kind of oversupply that forces automakers to take drastic measures, production cuts, layoffs, or record-breaking discounts. And according to Edmunds, we're heading straight into that territory. For years, automakers survived because customers stuck to a single brand, but Edmunds shows that brand loyalty is collapsing like never before. People who drove Ford trucks for 20 years are switching to Toyota or Ram. Longtime Honda buyers are moving to Hyundai or Kia. EV owners are returning to gas or hybrid cars. Luxury buyers are trading down to cheaper models to escape high payments. Edmunds warns that once brand loyalty breaks, it rarely comes back. This could permanently reshape market share across the industry. Some legacy brands are at risk of losing entire segments of customers. You can't talk about car prices without insurance, and Edmunds nails this point hard. Insurance premiums are up 20 to 40% in many states. Repair costs are rising. Labor shortages are causing delays. Parts availability is still inconsistent. Certain vehicles, especially EVs and luxury SUVs, now cost so much to ensure that buyers are walking away entirely. Edmunds shows buyers who thought they could afford a car, but after seeing dropping the insurance quote, they backed out. This is another pressure point squeezing the market from all sides. Repos are already rising. But Edmunds says the real wave hasn't even hit yet. Tens of thousands of cars bought at peak pandemic prices are about to re-enter the market as repossessions accelerate. Once they hit used lots, values will tank even further, creating cheaper used car prices, more pressure on new car prices, huge losses for lenders, lower trade-in values for current owners. This is the tipping point that could cause a used car price crash unlike anything seen in a decade. For the first time in years, Edmunds says buyers are gaining the upper hand. Dealers are negotiating harder, prices are dropping faster, used values are softening, manufacturers are increasing incentives quietly but aggressively. But Edmunds warns buyers need to be smart because not every deal is actually good. Some models are still massively overpriced. Some are collapsing in value so quickly that buying now could still be a mistake. We'll break down exactly what to look for next. Edmunds shows a major shift. Leasing is rapidly becoming more attractive again. Manufacturers are lowering residuals, increasing lease credits, reducing money factors, offering massive EV and SUV lease deals. This shift is about to reshape the entire new car market. Many buyers who can't afford financing are about to jump into leasing, especially with the flood of 2025 inventory arriving soon. This could create the biggest leasing boom since the early 2010s. Edmunds took a deeper look at individual segments, and the results shocked even industry insiders. Full-size trucks. Oversupply is so massive that some dealers are offering unheard of discounts just to clear space. Edmunds shows some models sitting 150 plus days on lots. Electric SUVs. The worst depreciation in the entire market. Some EV SUVs lose $10,000 in value within months. Luxury sedans. With sky-high insurance and repair costs, Edmunds says these models have become nearly impossible for middle-income buyers to justify. Three-row family SUVs, once the hottest segment, now hammered by affordability issues. Edmunds shows buyers abandoning them for hybrids and smaller crossovers. This segment-by-segment damage paints a clear picture. The market isn't cooling, it's unraveling. This is the part the big brands don't want to talk about. Edmunds lays out how manufacturers massively misread where the market was heading. They overbuilt trucks thinking demand was endless. They overbuilt EVs assuming everyone would suddenly switch. They ignored affordability warnings. They banked on people accepting insane monthly payments. They expanded factory output at the worst possible time. And now, they're stuck with warehouses full of vehicles nobody can afford. Edmunds calls this the great miscalculation, and it's turning into a historic industry-wide headache. Edmunds' data shows something automakers didn't expect. Hybrids are making a massive comeback. Hybrid sedans, hybrid crossovers, hybrid SUVs. Demand for all of them is rising sharply. Why? Great mileage, low insurance, lower repair costs than EVs, affordable pricing, no range anxiety. Edmunds shows that hybrid sales are growing while EV growth is stagnating. Some manufacturers that invested heavily in EVs at the expense of hybrids are now scrambling to pivot back. This shift could reshape development plans for the next decade. Edmunds didn't just break things down nationally, they analyzed regional pricing too. The states seeing the sharpest drops, high inventory states, high interest rate regions, and areas where insurance premiums have exploded. States with heavy truck and SUV sales are seeing the steepest price freefall. Dealers in these regions are offering massive unadvertised discounts, often bigger than anything shown online. Edmunds' regional breakdown shows that buyers in certain states have more negotiation power than at any point in the last 5 years. Dealers won't say this publicly, but Edmunds' indicators don't lie. Inventory is sitting longer, profit per sale is dropping, trade-in values are falling, floor plan interest costs are skyrocketing, banks are tightening loan approvals. Many dealers are now stuck holding aging inventory that's losing value every single day. Edmunds reports that some dealerships are now begging manufacturers for pauses in production, but factories can't simply stop on a dime. The result, a pipeline jam that's about to spill into major price drops. Edmunds used supply data, days on lot, and incentive trends to predict which vehicles are about to see the biggest upcoming discounts. And the list is shocking. Large three-row SUVs, entry-level EVs, luxury compact SUVs, mid-level pickups, slow-selling base trims. These categories are shaping up to receive some of the deepest incentives of 2025. For buyers, this means one thing: a huge opportunity for deals is coming, but only if you know where to look. If you're planning to trade in your car soon, Edmunds has a harsh warning. Trade-in values are collapsing faster than dealers can adjust their pricing sheets. Many owners who financed at peak price will be shocked at how little their car is worth in today's market. Edmunds warns that some owners could see $5,000, $10,000, even $15,000 differences between what they owe and what the car is now worth. This is forcing many buyers to delay new purchases, which only increases the inventory crisis. Automakers enjoyed 3 years of record profits. Edmunds says those days are over. High inventory, falling prices, stalling EV adoption, rising incentives, defaulting loans, slowing sales. All of this is eating into profit margins fast. Some manufacturers are about to report earnings far below expectations, and Edmunds believes this will trigger production cuts, model cancellation, plant shutdowns, massive incentive waves. The industry is bracing for impact. Based on the data, Edmunds expects automakers to completely overhaul their 2025-2026 production plans. Fewer EV trims, more hybrids, smaller SUVs, cheaper sedans, lower priced trucks, higher fuel efficiency standards. Brands that adjusted early are already benefiting. Those that waited too long are facing chaos as they try to redesign their mix of vehicles. This could be one of the biggest strategy shifts since the early 2010s. Edmunds' brand by brand breakdown reads like a disaster report. Some automakers that once dominated the US market are now facing severe declines in market share, customer loyalty, residual value, dealer demand, production stability. Edmunds shows that certain big-name brands are losing customers faster than at any point in the last decade. Why? Overpricing, outdated models, poor reliability scores, bloated inventories, slow EV transitions, high insurance premiums, and in some cases, a complete failure to understand what buyers want in 2025. These are not fringe brands. Some were top 5 sellers just a few years ago. Edmunds calls this the silent collapse because most buyers don't even realize how bad the numbers are until they shop around. But it's not all doom. A handful of brands are actually thriving through the chaos, and Edmunds' data shows exactly why. These winners share a few things in common: reasonable pricing, high reliability, strong hybrid offerings, efficient supply chain, low dealer inventory levels, good resale values. While the rest of the industry scrambles to push oversupplied vehicles, these brands are selling steadily without resorting to giveaways. Edmunds says these brands could reshape the top 5 positions in US sales, possibly dethroning some longtime industry giants. Even in the middle of a collapsing market, a few models are holding value far better than expected. Edmunds identifies certain hybrids, strong-selling compact SUVs, high-demand budget sedans, some work-focused trucks, a few long-standing Japanese models. These vehicles continue to resist the price collapse because they're fuel-efficient, they're affordable, they're cheap to insure, they're cheap to maintain, they have long-lasting reputations. Edmunds warns that these models may not get major discounts, simply because they don't need them. In a market full of crashing values, these vehicles are the exceptions. Some vehicles are on their last legs. Edmunds identifies several models that manufacturers are quietly preparing to discontinue due to low sales, bad reliability, poor resale, high inventory, no competitive edge. These are the models dealers can't move, even with incentives, rebates, and massive markdowns. Edmunds says these dead models walking will likely vanish by 2026, and buyers who choose them now could suffer massive value loss later. Car shoppers in 2025 are not the same as shoppers in 2020, and Edmunds tracks this shift clearly. Buyers care less about horsepower, big engines, fancy tech, luxury badges, and more about affordability, fuel economy, reliability, long-term cost, insurance costs, practicality. Edmunds says consumers are becoming value hunters, not status buyers. This shift will force automakers to rethink their entire lineup strategy. The EV crisis is not slowing down. Edmunds predicts that the current oversupply will trigger even deeper price cuts and possibly historic incentives. Many EVs are already seeing $7,500 manufacturer rebates, $10,000 dealer markdowns, massive lease cash, slashed money factors, but Edmunds says this is only the beginning. EV inventory is expected to grow even further in early 2025. and manufacturers will have no choice but to drop prices again, especially on slow-selling electric SUVs. Some EV models could drop to used car pricing even when brand new. Modern cars are filled with screens, sensors, and complex electronics, and Edmunds highlights the hidden disaster this is causing. Repairs on newer vehicles are skyrocketing because touch screens fail, ADAS sensors break, radar modules misalign, camera replacements cost thousands, software issues require dealer-only service. Some cars now cost more to repair a bumper than the bumper is worth. Edmunds calls this the tech repair trap, and warns buyers to be cautious, especially with vehicles known for fragile electronics. The first used car crash happened in 2023 and 2024, but Edmunds says another one is coming. This second crash will be fueled by more repos, more lease returns, more unsold EVs, more fleet vehicles hitting the market, more dealers liquidating aging inventory. This could push used prices down further than expected, especially for luxury models, large SUVs, EVs, overpriced trucks. For buyers, this means opportunity. For sellers, a financial gut punch. In response to affordability issues, Edmunds predicts a future wave of cheaper, simpler, more efficient vehicles. Manufacturers are already discussing compact hybrids, entry-level small SUVs, lower-cost sedans, affordable work trucks, simplified EVs. If brands execute this pivot quickly, they could dominate the next 5 years. If they don't, they'll fall behind fast. For the first time in years, the power dynamic is shifting. Edmunds says dealers need buyers, automakers need buyers, banks need buyers, the entire industry needs buyers. This means more leverage, more negotiation power, and more discounts than any time since the recession era. But buyers must be informed, because the best deals and the worst traps are happening at the same time. And there you have it. The truth Edmunds just exposed. The data the industry wished stayed buried, and the massive shift about to hit every dealership, every buyer, and every automaker in the United States. The bubble is finally bursting. Prices are correcting, inventory is piling up, and for the first time in years, you have the advantage. But here's the biggest takeaway. The next 6 to 12 months will shape the entire future of the car market. Some brands will soar, some will collapse. Some models will be the best deals of the decade. Others will be financial traps. Edmunds just turned on the lights. Now everyone can finally see what's really happening. So before you buy anything, before you trade anything, before you step foot in a dealership, make sure you're watching the data, not the marketing. Because the people who move smart right now, they're gonna save thousands. The people who don't, they're gonna get crushed by the biggest market correction in years. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're tracking every price drop, inventory spike, incentive wave, and market shift in real time. This story is far from over, and the next chapter is coming sooner than anyone expects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.